You know, there's another behind-the-scenes story that I've been waiting to tell you.
Oh,
and it's
okay.
from our friend Frank Media. You know, he is very bold.
He is.
Very bold.
We love Frank.
In fact, he was the first person I knew personally that was on the Trump train. I mean, way back in the day.
Yeah.
And he felt that the Lord gave him a prophetic word for the president. And there was an opportunity, one of his high officials took an envelope with this prophetic word in it, with Donald Trump's name on it, and promised to give it to him on the airplane when he was getting ready to fly to Florida. And the prophetic word has never been reported before. Now, at the time, Frank told me about it, but it was all off the record. And so I went back to him and I said, Frank, can I put this in the book? And he decided I could. But the prophetic word is in the book, but I can summarize it by saying, if you humble yourself before the Lord, you will be the next president of the United States, along with some scriptures. And we can only speculate. He's pretty sure that it was given to the president. He believes, and I think it makes sense, that in the quietness of that moment, on his airplane, while he was all alone, he reads this, and that he probably tried to humble himself in his heart before the Lord. And, of course, he's president of the United States.
Yes.
Now, you know, there are a lot of people that probably don't believe in that kind of thing, but I do. I believe that the Lord gives prophetic words.
Absolutely.
And it's encouraging to me to hear when the prophetic word actually comes true, because,
Yes.
of course, we all know examples of where they don't.
What's amazing for me as a woman, women want to know the behind the scenes. Honestly, probably men do too, but women, we're more expressive about it. We want to know behind the scenes what's going on, and that's the kind of thing that you give us in this book, and that is exciting.
Well, thank you. And there are things that I wanted to put on the record because, you know, as we've talked before, the other Trump books, you know, basically, you know, except for a couple written by Christians, don't go into this at all. The first one that came out was The Making of the President by Roger Stone, and he didn't even mention evangelicals or their part in the race, let alone God. So I wanted to put things on the record, and I wanted to put on the record these prophecies, because prophecies get slammed probably by Christians more than secular people, because the secular people, they don't even understand at all.
Right.
But we put in Charisma Magazine 4 different prophets, and I can tell you who they are. First one is Frank Media, who we've already talked about, but also Chuck Pierce, who's a highly respected prophet,
yes.
who in 2008 said he felt that God said that God was going to play the trump card. And he came to believe, he came to understand that he was talking about Donald Trump. Then there's Mark Taylor, you know, the
Yes.
former firefighter,
Yes.
who in 2011 believed that
That's
God said that he would be president. And of course, Mary Colbert,
Yes.
you know, worked very closely with him. And his is the one book, of course, in which they talk about this kind of thing.
Right.
And then the other is Lance Wallnau.
Yes.
And Lance said that God was raising him up like Cyrus, and that he was going to become president. But there's also a story that I tell that's in the epilogue, and it's in the epilogue because it really didn't fit in, and it's from a Catholic perspective. And I admit to my readers, I said, I'm an evangelical, I'm a charismatic, I write from this perspective. But during my research, somebody sent me a link, and the link was on YouTube. It had gone viral. It was by a Catholic priest who said that in the 1980s, there was a Catholic holy man who prophesied that God was going to use an American businessman named Donald Trump to turn America to God.
Wow.
And he said this to a young medical student, an American medical student who was studying there, and the man said, I can't believe that. You know, he was in the 80s, he was known as a playboy and so forth, but the man said, that's true, and not only that, but I believe it so much, I bought a brick and I wrote his name on it. You know, the Catholics have this thing where you can do that and they brick up a door or something like that. And he said he did that so that Donald Trump's name was there when all the prayers went up and so forth. So the college student, of course, became a doctor. He settled in Boston. He told his priest about this man, and the priest went and visited the old man. They called him the Hermit of Loreto. He was an American who moved to Italy and spent all his time in the church praying and going to Mass and doing all this kind of thing. And they considered him a holy man. And the priest said that that was his impression as he was there, met him, and talked to people. Now, in 2008, the man came back to America, and he died in 2009. So when Donald Trump ran for president, the doctor, who's now, up in years, says to his priest, I never told you this, but in the 1980s, this holy man told me this about Donald Trump. And the priest got excited and believed in it and did this video that went on YouTube. Then a blogger wrote about it, actually investigated. He was a Catholic and decided that it met all the criteria that Catholic have for prophecy. It came true. It does not oppose church doctrine. It doesn't oppose the scripture. And did that person have good character? And so I later interviewed the doctor, the blogger, and the priest, because I just wanted to verify, was this really right or not? And the priest said, he did not say that Donald Trump was going to be president. He said that Donald Trump was going to turn America to God. And the priest said that that's already happened, because when he beat Hillary Clinton, that alone turned America to God rather than going in the other direction. Yes. And since then, he's done all these executive orders and proposing these laws and so forth for religious freedom and against abortion and so forth. And that is shifting America toward God. And, like we were talking about earlier, the culture wars. And I believe that I said in there are a lot of this I don't understand. I'm not a Roman Catholic. I just don't understand this. But if I believe that God can speak to Frank Amedia and Lance Wallnau, I believe that he can speak to a man who spends all his time going to Mass in Italy. And I just thought it was interesting that coming from an entirely different perspective, it's like God said something that came true with Donald Trump.
Yes.